Welcome to the Twig, another Raven story here at Ironwood. A Raven story is a story of how God has provided in ways that make it obvious that only He could do it. Just like Elijah was fed by the ravens morning and evening, this too is a Raven story that is just amazing. Helmut Stobie was a volunteer, and he had been working on a number of our projects, and he comes by the office and asks to talk. He says to me, "Sam, I'd like to build a log lodge." He's a Canadian, and he says, "I want to build a log lodge." Well, as a guy who knows nothing about log lodges, I say to him, that sounds great. I mean, it's really like a guy saying, "I want to give you $1 million." Sure, I'll take it. I don't know what it'll take to build a log lodge, but why not? Let's do it. We talked a little bit about it. He was a master log craftsman from up in Canada, had built a number of different log lodges, but had never built one in the United States of America. So we were excited about it. He went his way back to Canada. We continued on our things. In fact, a few months had gone by, and I had totally forgot. Until they called me from the office. I was on my day off, and they called me at home and said, "Sam, there's a guy named Helmut here. He wants to talk." Helmut Stobie. Helmut Stobie, who wants to build a log lodge. Oh, yes, I remember. Okay, I'll be down to see him here in just a moment. And Helmut and I sat down and we talked about log lodges. And he drew out a little plan of what he'd love to build, a little 30 by 40 with a loft on one side, steps going up, big logs, hand-hewn from up in Canada. He was all excited about it. And I was pretty excited about it, too. The picture looked wonderful. I said, "Helmut, this will be great, but here's the problem. I don't have any money. I don't know how to build a log lodge. I don't know even what the steps or process. Don't even have a permit." He says, "Oh, let's just see what the Lord will do." And I decided, well, okay, let's see what happens. Helmut went his way. I continued to work here. And about 3 weeks later, Helmut calls up. He says, Sam, good news." He says, "I've talked to the lumber company, the timber company, and they have decided to donate 3 loads of logs." I'm like, "That's amazing, Helmut. We're now proud owners of 3 loads of logs." But Helmut, here's the problem. I don't have any money for transport. I don't know how to build a log lodge. I don't have a permit. I don't know how all this is going to work together. No. Let's just see what the Lord will do. Okay. And we went his way, I went my way, and about 3 weeks later, Helmut calls back. He says, Sam, good news." He says, "I've talked to the mill, and the mill has decided they will do the rough peel of the logs. This is half of the work. This is wonderful." And I'm like, okay, well, that's great. Now we are proud owners of 3 loads of logs that are all peeled. But Helmut, here's the problem. I don't have the money for the transport, and I don't have the permit, and I don't have money for the rest of the building. Oh, no. Let's just see what the Lord will do. Okay. And so once again, a couple of weeks go by. Another call from Helmut. Sam, good news." I said, "Helmut, what now?" He says, "I have talked to the transport company. They have decided to give half of what's necessary. A $5,000 donation, the logs are half there." I said, "Helmut, okay, this is good, but here's the problem. I don't have any money. We don't have the other half of the transport. I don't know how to build the log lodge. I don't have a cement floor. I don't have glass for the windows." I said, "Helmut, I don't even know how to build a log lodge, and I don't have a permit." "Oh, let's just see what the Lord will do." Okay. I'm telling a friend about this whole thing and telling them about what has happened, and I'm like, "I don't know, it's so crazy. We own 3 loads of logs. They're all peeled, and in fact, the transport's half paid, but we don't have any money. I mean, this is, we're going to build it in this place that on our master plan. It's a spot that we've already got. It's a perfect spot for it. But right now I'm having a hard time with the permit, and I can't seem to, we don't have the money to transport." He says, "Well, how much is it?" I said, "Well, it's like $5,000. And he pulls out his checkbook, writes a check, $5,000. This time it was my turn. "Helmut, good news. The Lord has provided the other $5,000. Oh, wonderful. This is great news." He's all excited. He says, "I've been talking to some friends. We've got a small crew together. We're ready to come out there." I said, "Helmut, that is wonderful, but I don't I still don't have a permit, and I've got several cabins with open permits. At the time, we had over 20 permits open because of cabins and projects, and so the inspector was here on our property every other week, it seemed like. And I'm like, I can't build a log. I mean, we need a permit. Oh, no, let's see what the Lord will do. So we did. The logs arrived on the 28th of December, 3 loads of logs. The crew came on January 1st. We talked to our inspector. We said, okay, I know I don't have a permit yet, but what we're going to do is we're going to build half over here and half over here, and we're just going to get it pre-assembled. And as soon as we get the permit, then we'll pour the slab and we'll be all set to go. Our inspector was okay with that, and so the guys started building. The Twig right here, the walls are 12 feet tall. They could do 2 logs per day. They used a Swedish scribe. The guys had been doing it for years, and literally when they would get done with their chainsaw and they would get done with everything, they would roll that log in place, and you could not fit a piece of paper through the crack where they had sealed the 2 logs. They could do 2 logs each day. So over the course of 2 days, they would get 2 courses or 1 course done here on this log lodge. And as things were being built, they got the first half done, and then they started on the second half, and weeks were going by, and we still didn't get our permit. We had tried everything. We had done everything we could to get a demolition permit, to get a new building permit. We had an old master plan that was from 1978. It didn't have an expiration date on it. And so with that lack of expiration date, we'd been building on it for years, but they had told us, nope, it's too old. We can't issue a permit. And I said, but there's no expiration date. We're building exactly what's on the master plan. Nope, you can't do it. It went all the way to our planning commission, which said no. And we asked if we could appeal, and they gave us a little 10-minute window with the planning commission to appeal their no. From our standpoint right now we had 2 stacks of toothpicks, big giant toothpicks, but we didn't have a permit for a log lodge. And so at the time we decided, well, this is kind of strategy, if you want a puppy, then you should ask for a pony first. And so what we decided to do was we would go in these 10 minutes with our planning commission and show them the master plan and show them how that should be what should be reinstated. But if they weren't willing to reinstate the whole master plan, then maybe they could give us a permit for this little 30 by 40. So that's the plan that we went into, and we had an audience with the planning commission. And in the first 5 minutes, we kind of laid out what we were hoping could be a reinstatement of our master plan. Now, unbeknownst to us, God had worked behind the scenes in a number of little details that had put some various pressures on individuals so that they would listen to what our request was, that they would grant our request. So about halfway through our appeal for this little permit on this 30 by 40, the planning commissioner stopped and said, so what you're trying to do is get your master plan reinstated so you can keep building everything that's on your master plan? And at that point, it's like a little kid who's realizing that all he wants is a puppy. So he started by asking a horse. And when he asked for the horse, his parents are saying, they might get you the horse. I sat there and I'm like, yes, we would love to have our master plan reinstated. Well, that's what happened. Long story short, they reinstated the master plan, a letter that allowed us to continue to build on that. In fact, the gift of the reinstatement of the master plan, in my mind, is one of the huge benefits of even the building of the Twig. So finally, after a year, after Helmut and the crew had already gone home waiting for us to get the permit, I was able to call Helmut and say, good news, we have a permit. It was August of that year. They'd already been gone for several months, and they were looking forward to the next building season where we could pour the cement and everything would be set. Helmut was somewhere in his mid-70s, and he was so excited. He's like, this is wonderful. We'll have a crew down. We'll finish the log lodge. It'll be great. I was so excited about what was happening. We were going to lay the forms down, get the cement poured. I got a call in November, and it was Helmut's family. Helmut was a truck driver, and up in Canada, he had hit a moose, and he had pulled over with his truck, and he was checking on that moose, and while he was checking on that moose, his truck rolled over the top of him and he died. Helmut died. We were kind of sitting there with these big giant toothpicks over in the corner, and now we had a permit, but we didn't have a guy who knew how to build a log lodge. Helmut's family came and called, and they kind of all got together, and some of his family came down and they finished the project that Helmut had started. At the end of the building of the log lodge, when they were setting some of these massive beams and stuff like that, it was just a miracle of God that something that Helmut had started, his family was now finishing. It was his last project that was going to do good for God's work for all of eternity. It was kind of cool to see the way God provided so many other things. The tile work in here was donated. The cement was donated. The glass was given to us at cost. All the dimensional lumber was donated. This building just cost a few $1,000s. Everything else about the Twig donated. Today we use this building for a number of different types of camps, small groups. The story of Helmut is sitting there on the wall, and people read through that story, and we get kind of excited about that little statement. Let's see what the Lord can do. The Twig is one of those buildings that's one of those giant ravens that let us know this is what the Lord